Ever spent like hours just staring at your code trying to figure out why a bug just won't go away?
Oh, yeah, definitely been there.
It's the worst. Right. But what if you could just hand that whole frustrating mess over to like an AI
Hmm.
and have it just fix the problem for you?
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. So that's kind of the big idea behind these LLM-based ACEs programs that can actually analyze your code and automatically fix bugs.
Like magic.
Right. It almost sounds too good to be true. So to see just how close we are to that like dream team of coders,
Uh,
well, we're diving into some cutting-edge research today. There's this study that tested 7 of these AI agents, and get this, they actually used real bugs from popular Python projects.
oh, wow, using real-world code.
Yep, exactly. They use this benchmark called SWE-Bench Lite to make sure everything's fair and realistic. So I'm really curious to unpack all this and see what they found.
Yeah, me too. So this SWE-Bench Lite, it's really designed to make things tough for these AI agents, right?
Right.
It's supposed to be like really, really close to the challenges that developers face every day. Yeah. And they can't use any shortcuts or tricks, like they have to figure out the fix just like a human would.
So no cheating allowed.
Nope. And even with all those strict rules, the best system was this one called Morse Code Agent. And it managed to fix almost 40% of the bugs, 39.3% to be exact.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so 39.3%, that's almost half of the bugs just gone automatically.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much time that would save?
Seriously, right.
All those late nights debugging could be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
But I am kind of curious about the bugs that the AI couldn't fix. What makes some bugs fixable and others just impossible, even for these super advanced systems?
So one of the biggest things is how good the bug report is.
Really? So it's like, if I'm trying to explain a problem to you, right? The
Right?
more details I give you, the better you can understand it
Exactly.
and actually help me solve it.
Yeah, and it's the same for these AI agents. They need that information to really pinpoint the problem. And the study found that this one thing made a huge difference. Providing the exact line of code where the bug happens. Like that one little detail made the AI almost 30 times, 2,780% to be precise, more likely to find a fix.
Whoa, that is wild, almost 30 times.
Mm.
It really shows you how important that one little detail is. I bet a lot of developers listening right now can totally relate to that frustration of getting like a super vague bug report.
Oh, for sure. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Exactly. But, okay, let's say we have a perfect bug report, right? Clear as day. The exact line of code is even highlighted. Does that mean the AI is guaranteed to solve it?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But not always. There was this one bug from this project called scikit-learn, and it had a great bug report, but all 7 systems completely failed to fix it.
Oh, wow. So what happened? Why couldn't they solve it?
It turns out the code was just structured in a really tricky way. Like it gave the AI all these potential problem spots.
Too many options.
Exactly. And the AI's reasoning abilities just weren't quite up to the task, to narrow it down to the exact root cause. And it kind of shows you that these agents aren't just mindlessly replacing code.
Yeah.
They're actually trying to understand the problem.
Like a human would.
Yeah. And even like what the developer was thinking when they wrote the code in the first place.
Oh.
It's a whole other level of complexity.
So it's like the AI is playing detective, trying to like sift through clues and reconstruct the whole thought process
Kind of.
to find out why the code is buggy. So it sounds like it can find like the general location of the problem, but sometimes needs a bit more information to get that exact spot.
Right.
So I'm wondering, are there other ways that these systems try to understand the bugs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it leads us to one of the most interesting parts of this research. How good is the AI at actually pinpointing exactly where the bug is?
Okay.
So they tested this thing called fault localization.
Fault localization.
Yeah, basically, how accurately can the AI say, okay, this is the buggy file,
Oh,
and even better, this is the exact line of code that needs fixing.
gotcha.
It's kind of like taking your car to a mechanic. A good mechanic can tell you which part of the car is acting up,
Right.
but it takes a really skilled one to be like, oh, it's this one specific bolt that needs tightening.
Okay, I get the analogy. So how did these AI mechanics do in the test? Were they good at diagnosing the car?
Well, most of them were pretty good at finding the right file. Like they could tell you the engine was the problem.
Okay.
But when it came to pinpointing the exact line of code, their accuracy kind of went downhill.
Oh.
Like they couldn't tell you which spark plug was faulty.
Oh, okay, so not quite expert level yet?
Not quite. But there was this one system called Honeycomb, and it actually bucked this trend. It wasn't the best at the file level, but when it came to the line level accuracy, it was awesome.
Interesting. So Honeycomb is like the mechanic that maybe can't tell you if it's the engine or the transmission right away,
Right.
but they can immediately spot a loose bolt on the alternator.
Yeah.
That is some pretty impressive precision,
It is.
especially if it helps them fix those bugs more efficiently. But I have to ask, like, if most of these systems aren't that great at finding the exact line of code, how are they fixing anything at all?
Well, that's where things get really, really interesting. The accuracy of Honeycomb is a big reason why it was so good at fixing the bugs,
Yeah, okay.
because it knew exactly where to look.
Right.
But the question of how do they actually figure out what to change,
Yeah.
that's a whole other layer of complexity. And that's actually what we'll be talking about next.
Okay, so before we were talking about how these AI agents can like pinpoint these bugs, sometimes even down to the exact line of code,
Yeah.
but just knowing where the problem is, that's only the first step, right?
Yeah,
The
definitely.
real like magic happens when they figure out how to fix it.
Right.
So what are these systems actually doing to solve these like coding puzzles?
So some of these systems use this technique called bug reproduction. So they try to recreate the bug like in a controlled environment so they can analyze it more deeply.
So they're breaking the code on purpose
Yeah, it's kind of like
to figure out how to fix it.
it's kind of like a detective recreating a crime scene,
Oh, okay, interesting.
to figure out exactly what happened.
So the AI is like playing detective,
Kind
trying to
of.
solve the mystery of the buggy code.
Right.
That's pretty cool. But does this detective work always help the AI find the right solution?
Well, it can be a bit of a double-edged sword.
Okay, how so?
So like when the bug report is kind of vague,
Okay.
it's like our detective only has a partial eyewitness account.
Yeah.
This recreation process can be really helpful
Okay.
because it gives the AI more to work with.
Right.
It can lead to some unexpected insights.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of that?
Yeah, so there was this bug in the SIMPI project. It's called SIMPI 15346, and the bug report was super basic.
Okay.
But Mars Code Agent, it was able to reproduce the bug,
Uh-huh.
and that gave it the extra clues it needed to figure out the problem and come up with the right fix.
So in that case, the AI needed to like actually see the bug in action
Right,
to really get it.
exactly.
But you said it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So when does this reproduction process backfire?
Well, sometimes if the bug report is already really clear
Okay.
and precise,
Mm-hmm.
trying to reproduce the bug can actually like distract the AI.
Distract it.
Yeah, it's like our detective getting so caught up in the reenactment that they miss like a tiny detail in the original witness statement.
Oh, so it's like information overload.
Kind of, yeah.
Even for AI.
Exactly. And this actually happened with this bug Django 011422.
Okay.
The bug report was straightforward. They even thought they knew which file was the problem.
Okay.
But the AI agents that tried to reproduce the bug, they got totally sidetracked
Oh, no.
and ended up like misdiagnosing the problem.
Wow. So even with AI, sometimes the simpler approach is better.
Yeah, I guess so.
Too much information, or in this case, too much tinkering, can actually lead to more confusion. It seems like finding that balance between like analysis and action, that's a real art, even for these super advanced systems.
It definitely is.
So we've seen how these AI agents can pinpoint bugs and even use these really cool techniques like bug reproduction
Yeah.
to understand them better.
Yeah.
But what does all this mean for like the future of coding?
Right.
I mean, are we heading towards a world where AI is going to be writing and fixing all of our code?
It's definitely a really interesting time to be a software developer.
Yeah.
Like, these advancements are really pushing the limits of what's possible with AI.
Total.
But it's important to remember that AI is a tool.
Okay.
And like any tool, it has its strengths and its weaknesses.
Right.
And one of the key things they learned from this study was that these LLMs, they are really powerful,
Yeah.
but they still need to get better at reasoning.
Okay.
Like, they can process information, they can follow instructions, but
Okay.
to really truly understand those complex bugs and what causes them,
Right.
they need a level of reasoning that we're still working on.
So it's like the AI can solve the equations,
Right.
but maybe struggles with the word problem.
Exactly.
There's a difference between following a set of rules and actually understanding what's going on.
Yeah, definitely.
But even with those limitations, the potential here is huge.
It is.
Like, imagine a world where developers could spend way less time debugging
Right.
and more time building awesome new software.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of amazing things could we create if we weren't constantly fighting with these bugs?
That's the dream.
It is.
To have AI handle all the tedious stuff.
Yeah.
So humans can focus on the creative and strategic stuff.
Right.
It's all about finding the right balance
Yeah.
between human ingenuity and AI assistance.
Working together.
Exactly. Working together to create something amazing.
A pretty powerful vision.
It is.
This future where Humans and AI are like partners in coding,
Right.
each bringing their own unique strengths to the table.
Totally.
But of course, like with any new technology, there could be challenges.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there any potential downsides or concerns we should be thinking about as these AI agents get even smarter?
Well, one thing to think about is how this is all going to affect the software development industry.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
As these tools get more powerful and easier to use, it could totally change the whole profession.
Right.
Like, we might see different skills becoming more important,
Okay, like what kind of skills?
like being able to work well with AI, understanding its limits,
Yeah.
and making sure that the code it produces is safe and reliable.
So it's not just about learning to code anymore. It's
Right.
about learning to code with AI.
Exactly.
That's a really interesting thought.
It is.
It means we're not just building new technologies, we're also changing the way we work
Yeah.
and interact with technology.
It's a whole new way of thinking about it.
It is.
Yeah.
But even as we're like embracing all these advancements, there's a bigger question that keeps coming up.
What's that?
What does it mean to be human? In a world where machines can do things that we used to think only humans could do.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's a question that's been on my mind a lot lately,
Mine too.
and it's something we're going to explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Definitely.
So stay tuned as we delve into like the philosophical side of AI
The big question.
and what it means for the future of humanity.
Welcome back. So we've been talking about these AI agents that can find and fix bugs in code.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
It really is. And it's got me thinking, like, what does it even mean to be human?
Right.
In a world where machines can do all this stuff that we thought only humans could do.
It's a question a lot of people are asking.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, if AI can write and fix code just as well as we can, does that even make human coders necessary anymore?
Oh, I think it's important to remember that even the most advanced AI, it still came from a human.
Right.
Like, we're the ones who design and build these systems.
We teach them.
Exactly. We
Yeah.
train them on all that data, and we tell them what their goals should be. So AI is really just a reflection of our own intelligence and
Right.
creativity.
Yeah, it's like a tool that we created to help us do even more.
So instead of being scared of AI, maybe we should see it as like proof of how amazing humans are.
I like that.
We're building these super powerful extensions of ourselves
Yeah.
and using them to make an even bigger impact on the world.
And I think that brings up a really interesting point. AI could actually make us even more human.
Okay, that sounds kind of counterintuitive.
Right.
How could AI make us more human?
Well, think about it. If AI can take over all those boring, repetitive tasks.
Yeah, all the stuff we hate doing.
Exactly. Then we'd have more time and energy for the things that really make us human.
Stuff AI can't do.
Right. Like empathy, creativity, those big, complex problems that need a human touch.
So you're saying that instead of replacing us, AI could actually help us be better humans.
Exactly. It frees us up to focus on what makes us unique.
It's kind of paradox, right?
It is.
We usually think of technology as making us less human. But in this case, it could actually be the opposite.
It's all about changing our perspective.
Okay.
Instead of seeing AI as a threat, we should think about how we can work together.
Collaborate.
Yeah, and use both human and artificial intelligence to create something amazing.
So what would that look like in the real world?
Well, for coders, it could mean spending way less time debugging and more time actually creating.
Building new things.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And for everyone else, it could mean a future where technology is more helpful and less frustrating.
That sounds pretty good to me.
It does, but we have to be thoughtful about how we develop and use these technologies.
Right, we can't just assume everything will be perfect.
Definitely not. We need to talk about the ethics of AI, make sure it's being used to help people, not hurt them.
It's a huge responsibility.
It is.
We're not just shaping the future of technology, we're shaping the future of humanity.
Well said. It's an exciting time to be alive, don't you think?
It really is. We're
Yeah.
seeing this amazing fusion of human and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and it's pushing us to think about some really big questions.
About ourselves and the world we want to live in.
Exactly.
Well, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, keep asking those tough questions, keep learning, and let's build an amazing future together.